I want to use the recent beef between two dating content creators, Jezebel and Maddie, to talk about the growing literacy gap here in the US. If you're not familiar, there are these two content creators on this app. One is named Jezebel, the other is Maddie. They both create dating content. Their content is not that dissimilar from each other. They sort of stand and either do a get ready with me or make a coffee with me while I tell you about my latest dating shenanigans. This beef, quote unquote, started because Maddie posted her Hinge profile and everyone noticed that her political views were conservative. Jezebel, who creates somewhat similar content, commented, "Wow, I'm bummed that you're conservative," because like many of us who have seen Maddie's content have noticed, she tends to seem very liberal, at least sexually. She talks about having men over on a first date. She seems to be making choices that are in line with someone who votes for reproductive rights and not against them. Maddie responded with a video that she has since deleted, and in that response she said, "I'm not super MAGA." Maddie cannot understand for the life of her why Jezebel is saying that Maddie must be somewhat MAGA. So I'm going to break it down. I think the central issue here is that there are a lot of people in this country who are functionally illiterate and also media illiterate. The combination of those means that someone can watch a video, can think that they are completely absorbing the message behind a video, and then they leave a comment that proves that they have no understanding of what actually was being said. They cannot engage with the central premise of the video. Maddie seems very stuck on this point that Jezebel is calling her MAGA. And I think Maddie, like so many other media and functionally illiterate people, does not understand that just as words themselves have meanings, the absence of words has its own separate meaning as well. Those of us who participate in society with some level of critical reasoning skills, those of us who are well educated, those of us who are still having intellectual conversations with those around us, still understand how to argue a point and how to understand a point that's being argued. It seems like there is a subsection of Americans who do not have that skill anymore. And to me, it seems like basically that's what's happening with Maddie and Jezebel, is they're just not meeting each other. Maddie can't understand why Jezebel is calling her MAGA, and Jezebel can't understand why Maddie can't understand why Jezebel is calling her MAGA. So Maddie, if you see this, the reason that Jezebel is calling you MAGA is because you said, "I'm not super MAGA." Now, using deductive reasoning, using extrapolation, what that means is that you are at least somewhat MAGA. Because if you were not at all MAGA, what you would have said is, "I'm not MAGA." A lot of people aren't understanding that what you don't say a lot of times is just as important as what you do say. And so if you don't say, "I'm not MAGA," then it is reasonable to assume that you are MAGA. That's how language works. To me, it's the same thing with the Sydney Sweeney situation. Now, maybe she is a whole lot smarter than she seems, but to me, my read on the situation is that she cannot even understand why people are saying that she's a white supremacist or a eugenicist. I don't think that she's putting those two things together. She probably believes, but I haven't said that. So it is ridiculous for anyone to believe that about me. But what we're doing is we're reasoning, because we have the mental capacity and the desire to do so. And there are so many others who don't. A lot of people in my comments about the Taylor Swift stuff are saying, well, she endorsed Kamala. Yes, and that was a year and a half ago. And you know what things do? They change. But if you assume that the world can't change and that people can't change their minds because you don't, then of course you're not going to see these things happening around you. We have to understand that a lot a lot of those kids got left behind. I think we should just let them go. Literacy gap is real. It's happening. I see it on this app all the time. And I'm gonna stop being nice. Bye.